Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the regular meeting of Osoyoos Town Council, Monday, October the 3rd at 2:00 p.m. in council chambers. The first item up would be the adoption of some minutes. This would be the Committee of the Whole minutes from September the 22nd and the regular open minutes from September the 22nd, 2011. Any comment from council? Hearing none, those will be adopted by consensus. There was no business arising from the minutes. There are a couple of late items to be introduced. The first item would be a report from the Resort Municipal Capital Grant expenditures. We'd like to do a change on what is out there now on the 5-year plan. And the item number 2 would be seeking permission from council for additional time allotment to a report from Destination Osoyoos at the October 17th Committee of the Whole meeting. Our procedural bylaws recommend and limit to 10 minutes, and they have requested to speak for 30 minutes at our Committee of the Whole meeting. So they will come up in the business part of the meeting. And that moves us, I guess I need a motion to adopt that. Councillor Ryan Miller, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor. A motion adopted as amended. And that brings us to delegations. And this has been an issue that's been a part of the town for quite a while now. And we're going to have a presentation from Jodi Hoffman on a dog park request. This would be, I believe, a swimming request, but maybe the other dog park too. So, Jodi, if you'd like to have a seat there, please.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Councillors. I'm here today with a few others to request an off-leash dog park and dog beach in the town of Osoyoos. I have brought along signatures from citizens of Osoyoos, surrounding areas, and visitors that would also like to see dog beaches and a park created in the town. It seems like a constant struggle to find places to take your dog without bothering others or being asked to leave by the bylaw. The summer seems to be the most challenging time to find an area where you can take your dog to cool off and exercise, at the same time keeping them safe and people safe. To be able to create locations in town where dogs are allowed would not only benefit dog owners of Osoyoos, but will benefit the non-dog lovers as well as people traveling with dogs in the area. Our first request, we would like to see a couple of dog beaches created in Osoyoos that are fenced, provide garbage cans and dog bags. We think it would be important to have one somewhere on the east side of Osoyoos and one central in town so that people living on each side of the town have easy access to the beaches. Some areas of suggestion would be the area between the museum and sailing club, the north end of Lions Beach, the east side of Legion Beach, Goodman's Park, the Osoyoos Lake Regional Park, formerly known as part of the Brookvale Campground, and the public access at the north end of Cottonwood Drive. Our second request would be for a dog park, a designated area for dogs to be let off leash to exercise and socialize. It would be nice if this area could have grass, because many of the non-grass areas in Osoyoos have puncture vine and cactus, which is not dog friendly. It would also be nice to have a location that does not disrupt other park activities as well. A couple of suggestions would be up by the tennis courts and ball diamonds. There's a lot of space up there that does not get used, and with a few fences, it could provide a safe place for dogs. Another location would be Desert Park, but there would have to be only select times during the day that the dogs would be allowed so that they would not disrupt the horses that are training. A dog beach or park isn't just great for dogs, it's great for a community. It gets people outside exercising and socializing. It keeps the non-dog lovers happy, and it's great for visitors with dogs. For many people, dogs are a part of their family, and activities like going to the park or beach are family outings, which means the dog comes too. We hope the town of Osoyoos sees why there's a need for these areas in the community and hopefully can provide some. Thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Jodi. Yeah, this is something that council has looked at a couple of times, so it's great that you make this presentation. And just to recap, we are looking at both a swimming area that would need some control on it and fencing, and then a more general, bigger dog exercise play area, if I may. But two different requests here. So Council, what is Council's question? Councilor Ryan.
Well, not so much a question, perhaps, but as the mayor said, we have talked about this on several occasions, and even had, I think staff did a report for us on one occasion. And I was happy to see that you suggested some possible areas. From my observation, particularly this summer, I don't know how many people who live on the east side or downtown would go up near the school and Desert Park to run their dog. Mm-hmm. I see a lot of them running around where I live. But I thank you for coming, and we'll look forward to seeing your petition. And definitely we're dealing with it. It's a bit of a struggle. Mm-hmm. And a couple of the places you mentioned, at least one of them, the regional park, of course, is not ours to designate use of. That's in the regional area. But anyway, appreciate the thought you put into this.
Thank you for your time.
There'll be some more here.
Yeah, sorry.
You're not off the hook quite yet, Jodi. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, you're not getting away that easy. So yeah, good presentation about a topic that I'm kind of fond of. These things need to go through the process, and you can't just snap your fingers and make them happen. They do take time. But I wanted to ask, can we get copies of that? I'd like to just kind of go over some of your suggestions and tried to write them down, but I can't write that fast. So yeah, I'd really like to have a copy of your presentation just for reference. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Councillor Rose. Councillor Chadsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jodi, you mentioned that a few areas for a dog beach. There's already Haynes Point, and so you think that there should be at least a couple more?
I take my dogs to Haynes Point. It's the only place you can take them in the summertime, and it's a really challenging spot. There's a hot road, the campers are driving on constantly. There's kids running all over the place on their bikes, and there's just a really narrow little spot of sand that you're able to. You don't even get the whole Haynes Point, like you get one section. Obviously, and I think in the winter they let you close up, they let you go in there, but in the summer it's a very awkward spot, I find. But it's the only spot right now.
Okay, and that's right. With a dog park, which is something different and can be in a different location. I think, Council, we understand that there is some legislation about what this park has to have in terms of fencing and a gate and stuff like that. Do you envision anything else in there? Picnic, park bench, or do you envision anything within a dog park other than a designated area?
I think at this point it would be nice just to have a fenced area where they weren't going to run onto the road or up the golf course or bother on the soccer field. And maybe I could only see the only other thing to have the park would maybe like a tap where you could get water from, just during, like, obviously not through the winter months, but once you get some, and bags.
And bags, yes.
Yeah, garbage.
And what size do you see? Like, did you have an idea in mind?
Well, right now, like, have you been up to the ball diamond?
Yes. Yeah.
That upper field would probably be a space and area, and there's lots of areas in the ball diamonds as well that have grass, and there's not a whole lot of options off dog park without disrupting the soccer game. I think we just take whatever we can get with space where you can let them off leash and not worry about running into other people, like jogging, soccer, all sort of. Well,
the reason I'm asking the questions is because we have a couple of directors sitting behind you, and one of them was making some notes. So
okay.
So we wanted to get your pitch in as much as we could. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Councillor Chadsey. Councillor Cronmiller?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, thanks, Jody. I really appreciated your input and the petition and hearing. And I see some of the people that are with you and recognize them as well for people that see out with dogs traveling all over Osoyoos looking for a place to go. When we talk about fencing these areas, how big a fence would you think?
Like height?
Height-wise, yeah.
Probably, yeah, 5 feet. Like an example would be probably like at the ball diamonds, not the tall part, but there's the lower.
So 4 to 5 feet.
Yeah, 4 to 5
probably
feet.
Suffice.
It wouldn't have to be real.
And when we talk about Desert Park, for instance, would that have to be fenced?
I wouldn't think so.
But certainly I know from my own experience, my children all have both. One has dogs. They have different dog parks than I know in Delta, or they knew they had them in Toronto. So certainly it's been a conversation piece for us, as you've heard. So we hear what you're saying, and we'll see what we can do for you.
Thank you. That's sort of what we're here for. Make sure you guys knew there was interest for it.
Yeah, and I think when we started having a look at this, there was some obvious areas there. I know through that whole Gyro Beach in behind the lawn bowling club, the museum, down by the sailing club, I'm sure we can come up with an area there that's suitable for everybody. It's not the greatest beach, but I mean,
the dogs don't care.
Yeah,
People don't like it, but
and that east side location that could also be good. We just have to watch out with the impact of swimmers and other high use areas. But there was a couple there that I thought would fit the needs. And we're coming up to budget time, and surely we could throw some money into a budget and come up with a couple of chain link fenced areas and see what we can do. And anything we do is better than what we had this year. So we will be pursuing that.
Even just access to a beach right now would be really nice. But
okay, thanks very much for your great presentation.
Thank you.
And always nice to see young people coming forward and taking part in their community. Oh, sure.
Oh, absolutely.
wonderful.
We're accustomed to correcting mistakes.
Let's say that quick. Yeah.
Oh, great. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, one other question. Yes, how many signatures did you get on the... Oh, lovely. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, there was your reply when I asked how many signatories were on the. It wasn't a petition, but it was people expressing interest. Was 400 was the answer for the people on TV that had signed this notice that they would like to see both a dog park and a swimming area. Thank you very much for your thoroughness. Great. The next item of business, there's no water matters, no correspondence, nothing in the bylaw department. Moving into the business section of the meeting, under I business number 1, we have a council meeting report for Councillor Ryan. This is the out-of-town reports when we're attending other committee meetings for which we are not paid through the Town of Osoyoos remuneration program. Councillor Ryan was attending the Okanagan Regional Library Board, and there is a chit there for $100. What is council's wish, please? Councillor Cronmiller, Chadsey, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. Item number 2 is a Vactor 2100 plus vacuum truck, and we have Mr. Ron Doucette to give us his presentation. Long time coming, could be a great addition to the town.
Will be. I'll just read a few things for you if you don't mind. Actually, this part is fairly exciting. I mean, it is a very valuable tool that we're going to have for the town. We spend a lot of time looking at these vehicles. This is not something you can buy off the lot. So this almost took a year in doing so. Having equipment come in, the guys operating it, just to make sure we got what we wanted. So to make a long story short, we had 3 proposals. We went through all 3. Looking at, obviously, price was number 1. How it's going to work for us, number 2. For the mechanic, the operators, energy efficient, and all those things. We contacted many municipalities that had a combination of these and what they would recommend. We had a professional vac truck operator come in to give us his ideas on what to do and what not to do. So it was a long drawn process, but I think when you want to spend $250,000, you want to make sure that you get the right thing. So I believe we've done that. We are over by about $2,300, mind you, on the overall cost of it. But other than that, as you can see from the report, we do have the truck from Weimar. That's the one that we recommend, and that's the recommendation that we have here today.
Thank you, Mr. Doucette. I guess what I'd just like to maybe get you to do a little bit of an explanation of what these trucks do, and for people that aren't really up in on how we dig holes nowadays, or how you dig holes around sensitive areas and instruments and manholes, these trucks blast water and suck water up. This truck can truly suck and blow at the same time, I believe. And that's quite a feat, but yeah. But they use it all the time, and you'll be out there instead of a backhoe and doing things like that. You get out there with this truck, and they can blast holes and tunnels and
in certain areas for sure.
It's quite a feat to see one working.
It is, and it is a combination. Also, it can also clean our sewer main lines as well. Okay. And as you know, the key is for the vac truck is, as you know, nowadays there's everything's on the ground, power, cable, TELUS, and everything else. And now with the fiber optics, you break one of those, and they're not cheap, or gas lines or whatever else. It is a safety thing not only for the people, but also my operators and everything else. It is efficient, and actually this unit here doesn't even need water. Wow. Some do, some don't, but I think this one here, it doesn't. And again, it's just one of those benefits to this. We kept the truck. There's many options that you can get with these. We kept this fairly basic to what our needs are, and I believe that's where we're at. But yeah, they're very versatile. You can pick leaves on the side of the road. This can also vac as it moves. Not all vehicles do that. So, like I say, we've looked at almost every item, everything that it could do for us, and it seems to have met our goals anyway. I just need $2,300 more. So
it can like tunnel and dig holes without water.
That's right.
Just on the vacuum principle.
Yeah. Usually, like I said, you might have to start if the ground is fairly hard on the top. Once you get going, these things are fairly powerful. So, yeah.
Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, just having spent a week in Vancouver at UBCM, one of the primary things that they got is how purchasing items in your various departments and that, how they affect our environment and ultimately our ability to be able to buy carbon credits from now on. You don't have to know what that is, but it's just darn nasty. And so is there any thing with this unit that's environmentally friendly?
The biggest thing would be is efficiency and the fuel that it consumes. It's got the best rating for fuel consumption, and even the alternate motor that operates the pumps for all this, it also is a high efficiency motor. So basically, that is the key as far as less fuel, less carbon footprint.
Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, Mr. Doucette, usually when we have purchases of this magnitude, we see all the various quotes and what they were. So could you tell us what the quotations were from the other two unsuccessful bidders?
I could make a copy for you later if you like. I don't have it by the time I find it in here. But they were about, I'd say, between $6,000 and $10,000 more expensive than this one here.
Okay. So
And this is looking at everything, looking at the options that we requested, because everybody put excess for options, and the truck itself. So yeah, I can give you that very quickly here, but.
Okay. Well, I think it's always good to know for us, but also for the listeners and watchers.
No, you betcha. Yep.
So what you've said is that not only is it has it been judged the best by you, but it's also the least expensive of the three.
That's right.
Bids.
And also not just us, but like I say, we made many references. Like I say, this is new to us. We don't have a vehicle like this, so we called on municipalities that do have them, to make sure that, they went through the same process that we've done, and then most of them, if not all of them, came up with the same result. So that makes you feel good about what you're doing. But we did do our own investigation first, then we asked about other people, and part of this was also asking for reference, who's got your equipment, and who can we call? And then Weimar had about 10 times the amount of the other ones. Just as I'd give you an idea of what... There's a lot of research done to this, and then trying to get everything into the perspective, and that's how we come up with the figure, or the vehicle.
And this was already approved on this year's budget.
It
this
has,
is on
yes.
the 2011 budget.
That's exactly right.
The money's just sitting in the bank, waiting to be spent.
That's exactly right.
Councillor Cronmiller.
Well, based on all those facts, I'd like to move that we purchase this truck from Weimar at the purchase price and include the $2,300 over budget purchase.
Okay, and that number is $252,327. I think that's all in with our HST and
That's
appropriate
our
tax.
portion of the HSD, yes.
Okay. Councillor Chadsey, was that a seconder?
Yes.
And Councillor Chadsey for a comment.
I just wanted to, actually, I was going to make the motion, but
Okay.
right now we're hiring a company to clean our sewers out.
Yes, we are.
And will we still do that on some basis, or?
On some bases only. They're equipped to go a longer distance than we can, and then we have areas that are basically a no man's land. But other than that, our trouble spots, shorter runs, definitely we'll be able to do our own.
So we'll recoup that $2,300.
I think so, yeah. Probably the first week.
Thank you.
Any further questions on the motion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Go get your truck, Mr. Doucette.
Thank you very much.
Next item up is a report on Jackpine Lane. This has been a contentious little alley in a neighborhood that keeps coming up and coming up and coming up over speeders, and we've looked at addressing it through speed bumps and speed humps and signage and many, many other issues over there. It's been around as long as I've been a councillor. So here it comes again. Mr. Doucette, please.
Same thing on the first one. Again, since the last meeting and with these people, and I can appreciate their concern. We try to do our due diligence by adding a whole pile of larger, bigger signs saying what the speed limit is. There is no doubt that we have a unique situation where a road goes from 6 meters to 15, and there's a lot of blind spots. I can see that being I think the most dangerous area would be right at that spot. What I've done here is basically as a follow-up to all of them. We had 3 options that we can look at. One, you gate the road, and obviously the emergency personnel and locals and all the utility people obviously sort of frowned a little bit about closing the road. Signage was another one, which we've done. Obviously, according to some of the people that live there, obviously it's not working. People are still speeding. And I bite my tongue on this one. But speed humps are also another traffic calming device that can be used. Do I recommend it? Probably not. Is that our next step? Possibly. I don't know where else to go. Unfortunately, like I say, the enforcement, like I say, their resources are tight as well, so they can't be there all the time because who knows when these guys are going to go through. It's no different than 89th, Nighthawk. We have all kinds of speeders all around, but there is no doubt this little entrance from a normal local road to a laneway does create some potential, obviously blind spots and dangers. So the three options are there. I still recommended the option with the status quo and hopefully more in enforcement. However, I don't know where else to go from here other than, like I said, if we want to try now a speed hump and a speed bump, I have to just make sure I explain myself. A speed bump is basically what you have, and in Canip those roads, they're very, very small. A speed hump is designed for a certain speed, whether it be 60, 50, 20. And then it's if you go at that speed, that doesn't affect you. And if your travel is the same. But however, if you exceed that, then that's when you feel a little jolt. However, the thing with this, with such a narrow road, you've got a building on one side, a wall on the other, and vehicles and possibly people. And what can that jolt do? I don't know. But from there, I don't know what else where we can go.
Well, I know we did address it with the. We did address it when we were looking at the gate, and that was maybe. I think I was in favor of that one, but looking at it now is probably a bit draconian to put a gate there. But I know when we were at the UBCM, CAO Romanco was really worried that I had the town credit card. We were going to throw a speed hump in the back of CJ's truck. But so that didn't happen.
No.
But we'll see what council's wishes are now. Councillor Ryan and then Councillor Rhodes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a clarification, Mr. Doucette. So if we were to, so the speed humps, you said they're for a certain speed, but are they the smaller ones that nail down? Because some I know are about a meter long, and
that's the design will dictate the speed will dictate the design of the.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
The lower the speed, obviously, the shorter the higher, then the longer the speed, obviously. Yeah.
And you were suggesting that it be on, should we say, in the narrow side, where the narrow.
I believe that'd be the place to put it.
Going east, in other words.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
So they have to slow down going. That's the danger spot, is coming from the narrow part to the wide part.
Well, I would like to make a motion that we request Mr. Doucette to construct a speed hump with necessary signs at the location where the Jackpine Lane becomes the larger street.
Okay. A seconder, Councillor Rhodes. And speaking to it, Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'm a little conflicted with this. Like Mayor Wells, I started off with a gate thing, but I kind of viewing that as being a road closure, and I'm not really in favor of that. I liked your idea about the signs. I kind of felt that they were working really good. You know, your recommended option 3 I'm referring to. I thought they were working really good. You know, it seemed like things were kind of calmed down there, and boy, in the last month they just got all fired up again, probably even more so than at the beginning. And I don't know what it is. Got a lot of conflicting information from that area. It's very much a neighborhood situation. I'm not sure if any of the difficulties that they're having are with other people in the town and that kind of thing using the roadway, but certainly we got everything from you have to do something today to there is no problem, and every variable in between. And people took the initiative to write letters and phone calls and drop-bys and emails and everything. It was just, you know, it was quite an issue. So it kind of confused me for a while, but I'm going to have to support the motion. I think a speed hump is probably the best alternative for this particular area because it is effective. I think it'll make the most impact in the neighborhood for the greatest amount of people down there, and that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it right now. I know it's against your recommendation, but I just feel that we need to bump it up one more step. And, you know, it's about time that we got one in this town anyway. I think this will be the first, so maybe this will be a good experiment for future ones if we ever need them anywhere else. Yeah.
Just another thing too, we have a traffic counter in town, which we used at the high school for the last little bit, and then we actually put it at that intersection, or right at that entrance. And we put it on September 27th at 1 o'clock, and then we took it out today at 8 o'clock, and there was 474 vehicles that passed by there. So it's roughly 82 vehicles per day.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would be that high a number.
Interesting, yeah.
Unless they went just back and forth. I don't know. Who knows? That's possible too. But actually, there is a time delay on that, so it'd be pretty difficult to do that. But anyway, just there is traffic there. There's no two ways about it. Now you have to appreciate. The thing is they might speed after they went through that, both in the laneway or on the wider part. But maybe this is a start. And again, like I say, I was hoping for another couple of years or something. Anyway, that's not a problem. I will get the ball rolling on this and get it done as soon as we can. And
it would be one of the bolt-down ones that we see at the trade shows.
No. This will have to be all asphalt. Yeah,
Okay.
It'll have to be design number one. Like I say, there are criteria for this,
Right.
And we have to look at the drainage, make sure we don't block.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
few things
Yeah.
that you have to look at. It's just. But anyway, like I say, it's something that,
Okay.
as long as it's not going to be something that we have all over the place, but.
Okay, Mr. Remango, and then Councillor Chadsey.
I just want to clarify, Ron, we're not talking one speed hump, I don't think. I think we're talking a series, because placing one speed hump on a large section of road like that, I don't know what that would accomplish in the big picture. You're talking probably, what is that? Is that about 2 blocks, 2 blocks in there, and putting one speed hump? I don't know. So it may be that there's a need for a series of speed humps at approximately $1,500 a piece. So I don't know. Is council looking specifically for only one speed hump, and that would address the concern, or are we looking at a total traffic calming for the whole entire area, which would require, I don't know, probably a series of 5 or 6?
Well, I don't know, it would appear that we'd be looking at one, because it would be right at the choke point on the alley, and I think see the results. I mean, you don't want to come out heavy-handed, and have them all of a sudden it goes, you're sort of gone and run amok. I don't know. I guess we'd have to get some recommendations, and Mr. Doucette is probably the one that would be most informed to have access to that information through engineers or people that design roads or whatever. But first off, I have Councillor Chadsey, then Cron Miller, then Ryan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am going to support the motion for the speed hump. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. I hope the people who are watching, and I hope the press, Matthew, welcome. It appears that this is a local issue. It appears that these are local residents that are doing the speeding. This is not a tourism issue. And I'm like I say, I am disappointed that tax dollars have to go into something like this. I don't know how many times we've addressed this issue. We've put signs up, we've talked to neighbors, we've had the locals who are affected by it to get together, and we've had opposing views, as Councillor Rhodes has said. But still, residents in that area and whatever in town are using it as a speedway, and they have to stop. And so I'm putting a plea out there. If you're speeding along that area, you are going to cause some injury, and that can't happen. There's no need to speed. So along Jackpine Lane, please take the effort to slow down, recognize that it's a difficult area to drive. In the meantime, we'll spend your dollars and we'll put in a speed hump and more signage, and we'll hope you get the hint before someone gets hurt. Thank you for letting me rant.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Chadsey. I think we have maybe go to Councillor Cronmiller. We've got a motion out there that I think we should maybe change because it's asking for one. Maybe it should more refer to a calming, a road traffic calming program in case we need two. We don't want to come back and go through this all again to get two speed bumps there, humps there. So maybe I'll go to Councillor Cronmiller first, and then we'll see if we can get that motion cleaned up. Councillor Cronmiller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So you kind of stole my thunder a little, okay. But given the opportunity before I start, I would certainly move that amendment that we look at traffic calming devices or humps throughout the laneway, and we can determine how many are required.
Sure.
Afterwards, and we don't have to come back and say, well, we need one more or two more.
Okay.
Here you're speaking to the converted. I really wasn't in favor of these traffic things to start with, but I really appreciate the traffic counter. That told me that there's a lot more traffic uses that laneway than I thought. And so when I look at 80 vehicles a day, that's a lot, and it's not tourist season. So when they're coming, I'm not sure whether the time of day was in there, but certainly I'm sure that some leave our neighborhood pub around the corner and use the back lane to get home or to go up to the highway and figure they've avoided something, and I don't know just what, but maybe some people with white cars and red and blue lights. But I think it's really important here to look at that whole picture, and I think when we consider it's a laneway, not a road, that it needs something there to just slow it down. And the neighbors have been telling us about it for quite some time, and we just can't do with just signs. They don't seem to be getting the picture. And when I look at the Lower Mainland, when we were just down there, and we see them there more often than we used to, and so certainly they are a positive effect in neighborhoods and on roadways. So I think they can be really valuable here and solve the problem. So I speak in favor of the motion. You may need a seconder to the amendment.
Okay, we'll get that in just a minute here. Thanks, Councillor Cronmiller. Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. In light of the discussion and the comments that have been made, I'd like to reformulate that, if I may, and see if I get. I think I'll capture the sentiment in the room. I would move that we construct the necessary speed humps, plural, for traffic calming on Jackpine Lane, together with the necessary signage.
That's acceptable to the mover, Councillor Rhodes. Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. I guess we're going to have Osoyoos' first speed humps.
Yes. I like my truck, though. I gotta say, I'll be a little flexible here.
Win some, lose some. Thank you, Mr. Doucette. Next item up is we're looking at some terms of reference for the Economic Development Advisory Committee. This is a committee that's being proposed for the town here, helping us take handle through, and we obviously need some help. I think every community needs help with economic development in this time and in this financial period that we're in. So I'll turn this over to Mr. Newman, our Community Development Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The subject of this report is the terms of reference for Economic Development Advisory Committee, and as per the background in the Community Development 2011-2013 plan, there is an action item to develop an Economic Development Advisory Committee. And as you see from the background, I lay out a plan, a time frame for putting this advisory committee in place. We'd be looking at going to advertise in the paper the October 12th and 19th editions, and with a deadline of October 28th, and bring it to council for recommendation, the members for recommendation on November 7th. And as the overview shows, it reviews, it gives you terms of reference covering off the purpose of the board, the scope, the committee members, terms of office, chairperson, meetings, remuneration, and administration authority. And this is all in accordance to the town policy and guidelines.
Okay. Thank you. We have that before us. Does the council have any questions of Mr. Newman or the process? Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I'm happy to see this, and we certainly heard a lot about economic development at the UBCM and from the ministers, including the Premier. In fact, I have a copy of the BC jobs plan for you, Jim. I didn't get it signed, unfortunately, but it's there. But I do have a question, and the question is, I don't understand, and I'm missing something here, on the terms of office. I wasn't sure whether we were appointing 7, and then some of them had a 3-year term, some had a 2, and some had a 1-year term. Is that
yes,
in fact, the way it's going to happen?
The purpose of that or benefit is that if you say they're all 3-year terms, and let's say they all decided they just wanted to go 3 years and they were off the board, they're gone, and we lose that experience. So, so we fold them over in first year. There's a couple that their term would finish if we started November of 2011, their term would be finished 2012. That doesn't say that they can't reapply, but it helps with regards to consistency.
Right. So you've always got about 2/3 of your group there.
Yes.
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I just wasn't sure if I was understanding that correctly. And then the other would be 2 consecutive terms. So one person might hit their first term might be a 1-year term, and then they might be appointed for 3 the next time. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. I think and then there is one little note, unless I think there's maybe something there where the computer didn't cooperate, where it says public members shall serve no more than 2 consecutive terms unless no reappointed. So I think we need to
right.
Yeah. Just
okay.
need to
yes. Mm-hmm.
fix that up. But anyway, that's good. Thank you. I think it sounds good to me.
Any Councillor Chadsey?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Newman, I noticed that you've got council members would be appointed annually.
Yes.
Was there a reason for that?
Compared to having them be there the whole all terms,
or
the
just
3
be
years?
silent on it?
No, I thought that at the start of every year there are certain committees that are appointed on an annual basis, and this would be one of the ones that a councillor would be appointed on an annual basis.
Because I'm not sure that we have any other such committees where the councillor is appointed annually, and it kind of fetters the whoever the mayor and council are to make a decision otherwise. I think mostly they're silent, aren't they? Anyway, it's just a comment.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah, and I can see that as a bit of a problem, because some of our committees sit right through the 3 years. If we look at the Lake Task Force chaired by Councillor Cronmiller, if you were looking at doing evolving chairs, which always brings a fresh perspective to it, but then sometimes you could be right in the middle of sort of a major program, and in Councillor Cronmiller's position, he chairs the task force. So it's a little bit tough to be creating seats, and if you don't have equal seats for the number of bodies going around, it's just, I can see that being a bit of an issue if we're not all the same. But we can look at that internally, I'm sure. We can always come back and tweak that. Mr. Romanko?
We can take it out. I think Jim was under the impression that we had other committees that had that type of a rotation, and given the schedule we have for advertising, we can, if council would approve, we would, with that amendment, we would just be silent on it. We can take it out.
Sure. Okay. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll move option 1. And do you want to tag that exclusion out of there, or?
Sure. But the council term to be. And option 1 is for approval. Councillor Chadsey is the seconder. Yep. Any more discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried. Next item would also be Mr. Newman. There's been a request and quite a bit of correspondence back and forth with the Mount Baldy Ski Corporation looking for a support letter from the town of Osoyoos. Mr. Newman, if you'd lead on that, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, the subject of this report is it's a support letter from Mount Baldy, and as per the background, Mr. Brent Baker, president of Mount Baldy Corporation, has requested the town to write a support letter, be added to the Mount Baldy application to the BC Venture Capital Tax Credit Program. And I support, or I recommend this letter of support, and the fact that the town and its stakeholders are working to make the town a four-season resort municipality, and certainly Mount Baldy, the ski area, would be a good puzzle piece to that process. And at this point in time, the major resorts in the past have put together ski packages for the ski hill, and there are staff that I'm aware of that have worked there over the years and live in Osoyoos, and they say it is a footprint or an economic opportunity for this community, and in the good years when there's snow. So I do recommend that we put together a letter.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think the town and the town of Osoyoos and town council recognize the value of having a viable ski hill in the area here. It really enhances our four-season approach to it, and certainly some of our shoulder season, and it would be a real positive economic addition to have a good ski hill here. So I'll turn it over to council for anything further, please. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick question. I'm not familiar. What is the BC Venture Capital Tax Credit Program?
It's a program that looks at the recreation and real estate infrastructure development costs for different corporations, and balances off their gross revenues, and looks at some opportunity where they can apply for some grant funding on that. And I can give you a copy of the information that was
yeah, I'd like to have a look at one if that's, yeah.
Councillor Ryan, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Premier Clark, in her BC Jobs Plan, one of the things she mentioned was that she would like to make British Columbia the #1 ski destination. And so that may seem to be a real reach, but I think it's certainly possible. So I would support that we write a letter to Mount Baldy Corporation that they can use when they apply. But I think that it would be wise, because they are a private corporation, that we say that, as you said, Mr. Mayor, that we support. Or it would be very beneficial to our community to have a viable ski operation in the vicinity, and we would benefit greatly from it, and we would certainly wish them success in making it a viable venture.
Anything further on that? All in favor of this letter? Opposed? Carried. We'll proceed with that. Oh, pardon?
Yeah.
It was. Did
Oh,
I?
okay.
One second.
Okay, sorry. Councillor Cronmiller on the second. Anyone change their mind on the vote? We will send the letter.
Thanks.
Okay.
And back for
Well, we could do that. Well, I'd have to bring it forward and.
okay. No, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. That was the late item that we're talking about. That Jim will have to come back. Mr. Newman will have to come back and report on. Next up on the agenda is business 6, a report from Mr. Davis on a landscaping request or proposal, and the bid that came in. Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. Before you is a report on the landscaping at the Sun Bowl Arena. Budget of $20,000 was approved to make improvements to the landscaping on Highway 97 at the Sun Bowl Arena. Last year we did the north side, and we had the intention of continuing on this year. A request for a quotation was developed, and the work identified in the request for a quotation was asking for chain link fencing replacement to a height of 6 feet, approximately 8,000 square feet of fabric with matching 2-inch rock and 1-inch sandstone rock to match the rock that was installed last year, and also a small area of sod. Our pre-bid meeting was scheduled, and we had 4 businesses show up. We did receive 2 quotations, one from Yardworks Landscaping for $19,710 plus HST, and from Greenscape Landscaping for $21,138. In terms of the implications, just improving the grounds for the community would make a little bit nicer area. Really no organizational implications. And in terms of budget, there is sufficient money in the budget to accommodate the lowest quote. And the options before council is for council to accept the lowest quote from Yardworks Landscaping and proceed with the project. Option number 2 for council to accept the quote from Greenscape Landscaping and proceed with the project, or for council not to approve any quotes at this time. And staff is recommending option number 1.
Thank you. Council, please. Councillor Cronmiller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll move option 1.
Second. Councillor Ryan. Any discussion on this? Councillor Rhodes, I know you want to say something about an Osoyoos bid, so your pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I was pretty good. I didn't even have to put my hand up that time. Becoming quite familiar with this business. They're in the process of doing the new retaining wall at our main beach, just adjacent to the bridge, and good quality work. But I have to mention again, really happy to give this business, our business, local folk, live in our community. I know right now at the job that they're doing down there, they have about 2.5 employees down there. That's 2 full-time and a part-time person equals a half in my mind, just so you didn't think I was losing it. Yeah, so they've employed all of these people, all 3 of those people, those 2.5 people that they've taken on, I mean, are local residents in our community. I know each one of them fairly well. They're good people. You know, they contribute to our economy. You know, they eat in our restaurants, shop at our stores, and so on and so forth. So, you know, once again, it makes me feel really good that we're able to get, you know, some of these businesses at the top of our selection list, and it just really is a good thing for our community. The economic benefits from this, if anybody hasn't learned, you know, from this type of thing, they certainly haven't been listening to anything I've been saying for the last 3 years. But yeah, good, really glad, and you know, better still, a little bit under budget as well. So that's me speaking in favor of the motion.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Coming up with the next item is the Osoyoos Arena Conversion and Service Establishment Bylaw 254001-2010. And this has been, is it 2010? 2011, it must. So, Mr. Davis, do you want to report out on this? We may need Ms. Van Vienen here to just to give us a little background on how we ended up here. Okay, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In January of 2011, we passed a motion, or council passed a motion already, and this is an amendment to that bylaw. So the regional district has given bylaw number 2540-01-2010 three readings and is requesting that the town of Osoyoos pass a resolution to support this amendment. In the original bylaw that was passed, the maximum limit that was set in Section 7 does not cover the tax requisition that is required for the Sun Bowl Arena. The average requisition limit that has been collected over the last 5 years is $460,000, and the amendment increases the amount to the greater $500,000. Consent of the amendment bylaw can be provided on behalf of the elector as outlined in Section 802 of the Local Government Act. In terms of implications, supporting the amendment bylaw will keep the arena operational with no interruptions. In terms of organization, the proposed amendment bylaw assists in the efficient operation of the arena. And of course, the budget, based on the last 5 years, the limit that is proposed, the greater $500,000, will cover the requisition that is identified in our budget. And I think the maximum, as identified in the report from the regional district, was $460,000 going into 2015. So the options presented would be for council to approve Osoyoos Arena Conversion and Service Establishment Bylaw number 2540-01-2010, or for council not to support that bylaw. And staff is recommending option number 1.
So if I understand this correctly, we were sort of over our limit. So now that came to the financial officer's attention, and this is correcting the limit that we can go into with. And this is the town of Osoyoos and Regional District Area A sharing the operating costs and capital costs of the Sun Bowl.
Originally, it was set up as a supplementary letters patent, and it wasn't enough. The requisition limit that was in there did not cover it, and that's what council passed in January.
Right.
And now we're at that level with this amendment.
Okay. Any discussion from council? Looking for the resolution. Councillor Chadsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll make a motion that we accept the option to approve the Osoyoos Arena Conversion and Servicing Bylaw number 2540-01.
Seconder, Councillor Rhodes. Any discussion on that? Just basically a bit of house cleaning. We've been operating the arena for a lot of years, so this is just going to be a continuation of that. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bringing us to business 8, the audit services. I'll refer to Mr. Romanko here as we appoint a town auditor. There's a bit of a report associated with that. Mr. Romanko, please.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. White Kennedy has been the town of Osoyoos auditor for a number of years. The town requires audited financial statements for both the town and the Sun Bowl Arena. Council passed a resolution in December 2008 to appoint White Kennedy as the town auditor. In the 2008 proposal, White Kennedy had offered to extend their audited services to include 2011 and 12 if the extension was mutually agreeable by White Kennedy and the town. White Kennedy has again contacted the town of Osoyoos inquiring that if they have agreed to extend their contract, and they have agreed by providing a new proposal for 2011 to 2013. The audit fee for 2012 is $19,200, up by $300, and for 2012 and 13, audits would be adjusted by the Vancouver Price Index. White Kennedy has been thorough in their audit process and very experienced in municipal audit. The community, again, benefits from having the integrity check of the financial systems. Organizationally, accepting this particular process would save us some time in terms of going out and seeking other auditors. And even if they were successful in beating out White Kennedy, Then there's an orientation period and those types of things that take additional staff time. The budget increase is $300 for 2012. The options presented include to appoint White Kennedy as a town auditor for the years 2011, 12, and 13. And the other option is to request for proposals for the administration recommending option 1, as it will save us some staff time, but at the same time it would appear that the price increases are very reasonable in today's economy for this type of service.
Thank you, Mr. Romanko. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll move option 1 to appoint White Kennedy as the town of Osoyoos auditor for the years 2011, 2012, and 2013.
I'm looking to my left. Councillor Cronmiller.
I'll second it.
Okay. Councillor Rhodes, please.
Well, you often think how you would have anything to say about something like this, but I just wanted to speak in favor of the motion and offer a compliment towards White Kennedy. They come to our council meetings not all that frequently, but certainly around budget time and that kind of thing, and they have a way of taking complex situations and making it very understandable for people like myself that sit up here that don't really understand the process all that much, and yeah, so it's a good thing. They're a good company, and I certainly support that option.
Thank you. Councillor Ryan.
I support this this resolution as well, but I did have 2 questions, and I don't know get the answers, but I know that they had been our auditors prior to 2008, and I wondered if there was an approximate time for which they have been our auditors that we could hear about.
I guess if our finance director was here, he'd be able to answer that.
I'm sure he'd know right off. Yeah. Anyway, they've been with us for quite a while, I guess. The other thing is that in their presentation, they say that they would be willing to meet with our finance or audit committee, and it made me think, well, we don't have either, and which should we? We have a finance committee or an audit committee.
Well, council has been funding our acting in committee of the whole, so type of governance process. So certainly, I'm sure that if there was some need for them, they would come out and meet with council as a whole. And if that's something that if council would like, it would something we can explore with them.
And that may be a throwback to when there was a finance, because with the 08 election, we went to committee of the whole. When I got elected in 05, we were a committee structure. Councillor Cronmiller and myself, so we did have finance committees and that. Okay. So that may be a reference to that period in time when actually it is a.
Good. Thank you.
Okay. You have a question on that? Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Yep. Going back to Mr. Newman, this was a late item, number 9, resort municipal capital grants expenditure. This is a 5-year requirement from the provincial government. And today, when we were talking about this in the committee of the whole, it looked like we wanted to do a little tweaking on it. So, Mr. Newman.
Okay, so thank you, Mayor. The report basically is the revised 2012-2016 municipal or resort municipal strategy, and along with that is the projects for 2012. So, as mentioned in the background in the committee of the whole. We're looking at with the new ministry taking over the responsibilities for facilitating the resort municipality strategies. They've asked that we spend all old monies, and we're looking at doing that in 2011, and that we revise our previous 5-year plan that ended in 2015 to start it with a 2012 to 2016 capital grant expenditure. And so in front of you is that 2012-2016 resort municipal capital grant expenditure.
Okay, now, and I don't have it on my screen right here, so it's up there, but is this the one, I mean, we had an addition to it. We looked at it this morning, and the addition is up there, which was Desert Park.
No, that was just a point of discussion that if we wish to add the Desert Park facility to the plan, that there should be a resolution to add it to the plan and at the meeting here today.
Okay. So I'll leave that up. I'll leave that up to council then. And so this is where we're spending the money up to 2016. And at a discussion today, there was a possibility that there would be an addition. So I'll leave that to council's wishes. Councillor Chadsey.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to make a recommendation that we accept the 2012 expenditure and the 2012 to 2016 capital grant expenditure, but that the Desert Park be added without any dollars at this time, and I'll speak to that motion.
And that seconder, Councillor Ryan, please. Speaking to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We did have this, council was shown this expenditure at the morning meeting. And we had a discussion. This is our resort municipality dollars. And we're required, as Mr. Newman said, to prepare a plan for leading us into 2016. We never really know how much the dollars are going to be, and so we averaged it out to be about $260,000 a year in the years moving forward. We still have a lot of money from previous years that have been allotted. We just haven't spent them yet, and those would include our new washroom facilities at Gyro Park and a few other things. But also this morning at our meeting, we did discuss that once we put this plan into the hands of the province, it will be very difficult for us to make any changes or amendments to it. And remember, this goes to 2016, so this is another 5 years. We know how long it has taken us to deal with the province in terms of this plan. And so we're trying to think ahead, and we have one of the items that we have on this 2016 moving forward plan is affordable housing, but there are no dollars attached to it. But it does give us the ability at a later date to move some dollars around, and it's an example of hedging our bet. This morning we talked about maybe we should think about putting the building at Desert Park or Desert Park itself in this plan with no dollars, recognizing that we are continuing to try and find a consensus with CIRAC, but if that happens or doesn't happen, we still have the Desert Park facility that we will always try to move forward on, and to leave it out of the plan means that we can never probably put any dollars towards it. To put it in the plan without a dollar value means that it's always there, and always will give the town the ability to use some resort dollars up in that area, and that's why I'm going to support the motion.
So is that wasn't as an amendment? That was it. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, opposed, carried.
Not at all.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. That brings us to the, item 10. And I'll just stick handle my way through this. Again, our procedural bylaw limits delegations to 10 minutes. Destination Osoyoos is going to present at our October the 17th Committee of the Whole meeting. So I'm looking for, or Council's looking for, a resolution to extend up to 30 minutes for the destination. Councillor Cronmiller-Ryan, any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. They will have 30 minutes as we look at their strategic plan heading into 2012. Next item is any notice of motion from council. No. Hearing none, we'll go into reports, which would be cash requirements for the general accounts in the amount of $469.72. The arena accounts in the amount of $10,984.95, and net payroll accounts in the amount of $62,301.23. General accounts, if there's any questions on those numbers, hearing none, the general accounts will be adopted by consensus, arena accounts adopted by consensus, and the payroll accounts were received for information. That now moves us to committee reports. There is none. Report from the CAO, Mr. Romanko.
Thank you, Mayor Wells. Just a few items to highlight some of the activities of the administration over the last couple of weeks. Starting with community development, the community development manager met with Drs. Tar and DeVries to start discussions on attracting doctors to the community. That occurred last week, and some very good dialogue occurred there. So, and setting us up for the future in terms of maybe some future activities. Also met with Tom McHale on the airport expansion, just to bring up some additional information. And Mr. McHale will be in town at the end of October for further discussions. And met this last week with the Community Sustainability Action Team to just continue work on the final changes to the sustainability plan. Corporate services, we've shortlisted the competition for the deputy corporate officer from 35 down to 6, and we'll be taking a look at doing a first round of phone interviews with the 6, and then trying to narrow it down to a couple of maybe further interviews from there. And also election, working a lot on the final preparation prior to nomination period, which begins 9 o'clock tomorrow and ends on Friday on Friday, October 14th. And our Director of Corporate Services is doing all the work in terms of minutes and preparing agendas and things like that. Planning and Development met with a developer this last week on a proposed condo development on Nighthawk. This is not a new proposal, but it's coming back to the table in a new format. So the development permit application and fees were handled, so we're hoping that in the near future something will become of this particular project. Recreation is in the process of doing a risk assessment at the Sun Bowl Arena. Once the risk assessment is complete, they'll have more flexibility in terms of using relief workers. Also working on identifying capital items for 2012 and taking part in discussions on the Desert Park relationship development. The CAO, I was at UBCM this last week, but I continue to work on the final leasing documents for the new museum building, the Desert Park license of occupation, and input into the resort municipality plan. So thank you very much for this opportunity.
Sounds busy as usual, and there's some real worthwhile projects in there. Really, really nice to see some of them get to the fruition stage and close them off. First councillor report would be Councillor Rose.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I don't have a report this week. I'm going to allocate my time. You guys can split it all up between you.
Wonderful. Councillor Ryan, please.
Thank you very much. Well, I appreciate the generosity of Councillor Rhodes in foregoing
That was
this time.
equally.
Just a brief. I'm going to talk a little more about the UBCM next week when I have a chance to digest some of the things. But I just wanted to say that I was happy to attend the Union of BC Municipalities conference and convention and study session in Vancouver this past week. And I'm sure the mayor will say more about it. But we did meet with. I was part of a meeting with 4 of the ministries or commissions. And I think we made some progress, got some support, and clarified some items. Several things that occurred to me and sort of stuck with me as I attended various sessions and briefings and meetings with ministers, and there were panels of ministers, was that I learned a great deal about the First Nations treaty process and also the importance of regular communication and relationship building with them. And we've certainly tried to do that here, and I think we've done a pretty good job. But it certainly helped to understand the process that's happening here in British Columbia, where things are somewhat unique in terms of First Nations and community treaties, government treaties. I was at a panel of education and health and social development. And there was a lot of emphasis on the cooperative and collaborative activities that really are good for a community. The local government working with school boards, bringing together a lot of community organizations and services in a cooperative fashion to solve issues and problems. So that really sort of struck me as being very important. I attended the BC Jobs Plan, in which the minister responsible identified it, and then of course it was a major subject for Premier Clark's address to the delegates as well. And two of the things that stood out that I think affect our area the most, there were things about mines and about pipelines and about ports for liquefied natural gas in the north. But I mentioned already that the Premier has identified the province as being targeting us as the #1 ski destination in North America. So that's important to us because we're in ski country. And also, she wants to increase significantly the number of international students who are coming to our province and studying in our high schools and in our universities and colleges. So those, I think, have relevance for us as well. There is a meeting with the Deputy Minister of Community, Sport and Cultural Development that's happening in our area this week, and happily, I've learned that the chairman of the museum and the Desert Society Board will be attending that, so that's really good. It's about the looking again at how the gaming grants are distributed and the value of these to nonprofit organizations. This is Arts and Culture Week. I just wanted to call that to everyone's attention. There was a big to-do about that in Vancouver when we were there, and of course it's throughout the province. So I just want to encourage you to think about the things that you could attend and participate in of a cultural nature. There's going to be an Osoyoos Concert Society series starting kicking off on the 18th of this month on Tuesday in just another week or so. And there's a Oliver Film Club that's underway in early November, and there are lots of other things as well. Visit to the museum, visit to your art gallery, whatever. And I just wanted also to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving, and that we'll all recall all the things that we have to be grateful for. That's my report.
Thanks, Councillor Ryan. Councillor Cronmiller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Well, I'm kind of like Councillor Rhodes in the fact that it only seems like yesterday that I sat in this chair and made a report about 10 days ago. So it's like, and since that time we spent a week in Vancouver at the UBCM, and I think Councillor Ryan has encapsulated some of those things that he has been to and talked about. Certainly, most of us that were watching the newspaper, RCMP negotiations, which is near and dear to me, and smart meters. Those were the highlights that you probably heard about the most. For us, there were a lot of other opportunities. I think I took an agricultural tour that allowed me to have a better idea of how agriculture and suburbia are integrated throughout the township of Langley, and how the ALR and suburbia as well work together and continue to be there. And so it was something that I know that is close to us here with our orchards and lack of land, with the agricultural land reserve being so close. Anyway, I'm going to cut it short there, and I'll pass it on. I'm sure they'll give the mayor a chance to say a few words.
I'm getting excited. I might even have a fresh topic. Councillor Chadsey, please.
I don't think so. Okay, I'd be quick. E-News. I hope everybody's signing up for E-News. This one says that it's starting October the 1st. Osoyoos area residents will be able to recycle their used or broken small appliances by dropping them off at the Osoyoos Bottle Depot. So the program is called Unplugged, the Small Appliance Recycling Program. So please take advantage of that. I won't talk about UBCM. It was great. It was very tiring, but very, I felt productive. I came away last year feeling kind of beaten down, but this year I just felt, I felt really good about the meetings that we had. I want to remind everyone that the signed bylaw public hearing is October the 11th at 7 p.m. at the Sonora Community Center. And congratulations to the Osoyoos Quilting Guild for 25 years. I went and looked at a lot of their quilts. And of course, they also do the quilting for the community care. So they make quilts and provide them to the police, ambulance, RCMP, fire, and actually the child care also. So kudos to them. And the last thing I want to say is we are webcasting, and so for everybody in the whole wide web, it happens to be raining today in Osoyoos. Doesn't happen very often, so we are actually, I'm enjoying it, and that's my report.
Thanks, Councillor Chadsey. I do have a couple items I'd like to talk about. And one of them is just to repeat that signed bylaw. It's so important to the community. Please, it's on October the 11th at 7 p.m. That'll be the first. I'm sure we'll have subsequent meetings, but do go and voice your concerns. All those business people out there, it's pretty hard to come after the fact. So we're really want you to come out and put your 2 bits worth in and make sure we are getting it right as far as you're concerned. Down to the UBCM, there was all the big presentations, and there's about 2,000 delegates there, 1,800 or something like that, plus all the ministry folks from the provincial government, and it goes. There's quite a list of people that are there. But really, the rewarding ones that I found were the real small breakouts. And I'm just going to explain one of them. Well, maybe 2 of them. But one of them was Mr. Romanko and I at 5:30 on the night of the welcoming reception with Christy Clark there. On that night, we're at 5:30 in a small little room in the back of a restaurant across the street from the convention center, having a meeting with Moira Stillwell. And she's a parliamentary secretary, and the last word of her title is innovation. But she's there, and she's a doctor. She's a nuclear physician, and she was presenting to real small town, rural British Columbia, about the doctor crises that all these small towns are going through. There's 500 doctors that are BC citizens that have, for one reason or another, gone offshore to do their medical studies. Probably they couldn't get into UBC or other universities. And they are in England and Scotland and Ireland, New Zealand, Australia. 500 of them out there, and they can't get back home. They can't come and do their residency in BC. So they're being snapped up by other areas, and when they do come back, the ones that, there's 288 medical seats in BC, and that's the number of residencies there are. We're 1 for 1. Ontario, I believe, is 1 for 1.6 to 1. So we need more residency seats. That's the message that we were encouraged to take to the Premier in this case. And these folks that can't get home, there was a story that was quite gripping. That was a female from Bellacoola who had very adverse family problems, First Nations adverse family problems. Went through and got her education. She's offshore. She wants to come back and work in Bellacoola, and she can't get a residency seat. So there's really something wrong out there. And when these doctors want to come back that have been offshore, they don't have the seat, and they have to pay $108,000 per year to get that seat. If there is one by somebody not using it or going somewhere else or moving or something. So when you hear that and the potential of the number of doctors that we could have coming back, and they're British Columbian folks, they're all from somewhere small. They want to come and work there, and we're not providing them with that opportunity. So when you hear that kind of information, it's fairly gripping. I will say that. And again, I think there was maybe 20 chairs in the room and 10 were filled. I think that was about it. It was very interesting. And the other fellow making the pitch with Dr. Moira Stillwell was a top cardiac surgeon in Vancouver, and he really knew what was going on because his daughter had gone to Dunedin in New Zealand, and she was one of the students that couldn't get back for a residency seat. So I think it's something that this government should certainly be having a look at, our provincial government. And the other one of note was we as a council, this was sort of just happened on the spur of the moment. It was one of those things that happened, which has sort of been the whole backbone of this airport situation. People just, it just happened. But we went and had applied to see the minister, but we were way too late. We didn't apply until the Monday morning when I got there. So as they said, no, but you can meet the staff. So we went in and met with the staff dealing with the Agricultural Land Commission, including the chair of the Agricultural Land Commission, Richard Bullock, and really had a great informative exchange of what we were looking at, because if we ever were to expand that runway in Osoyoos, it's in the Agricultural Land Reserve. So we opened with that discussion, and they weren't saying no. There's many hoops you'd have to jump through, but they weren't saying no, which was a reassuring sign to council, because this airport right now is a bit of a hot button topic. It keeps coming around, as Mr. Romanko alluded to. Tom is coming back again, so Tom McHale. So we need that information from our side of the table. What are you doing? Well, we do have this information, and there's always a possibility it could move forward. So the conference in the whole was very good. I found it a lot better this year. Last year I was very disappointed. There just seemed to be a lot better buzz about it this year. I think that's probably enough for all you folks to listen to today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Councillor Chad Z. Rhodes. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Good afternoon.